Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday morning service here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Laguna Beach. And we are so glad that you've joined us today for worship at UUFLB. The land on which we join together in worship is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Ahashimen and Tongva tribes. We acknowledge these indigenous peoples as traditional land caretakers who, in the face of settler colonialism, claimed their place and act as stewards to protect their ancestral lands and the earth, as they have for the past 8,000 years. We pay respect to these and all indigenous peoples, past, present, and future, and their continuing presence in the homeland and throughout their historical diaspora. We offer our gratitude to the First Nations for their care of the earth and for their teachings. And with humility, we commit to learning and working on behalf of justice, for it is only through freedom and justice that we truly give honor. Each Sunday, anywhere there is a service held in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a chalice is lit. The flaming chalice is the symbol of our faith. And this morning, I have asked our guest speaker, member Mike Radcliffe, to light our chalice for us here in the building. And if you have joined us this morning by Zoom, I invite you to light a chalice or a candle within your home. Our chalice lighting words this morning were written by the Reverend Eric Walker Wickstrom. When we light our chalice, everyone focuses on the flame, yet it is the paraffin of the candle, the cotton of the wick, the potassium chlorate and sulfur of the match, and the oxygen in the air around us that makes that flame possible. As leaders in our congregation, all of us, we are not called to be a lone beacon on a hill. Rather, we are meant to work together so that we might together shine. So thank you, Mike, for lighting our chalice this morning. My name is Pamela Floodman, and I will be serving as the worship associate here at UUFLB this morning. So I do want to start by saying a big thank you to everyone who has joined together this week, really as we do every week, to make this worship service possible. So our worship committee, our board, our Zoom and audiovisual techs, our music director, all those who help take care of the building. We are grateful for all of the members and the friends of this congregation, really an amazing team of people who make it possible for us to gather for worship and to continue our work in community throughout each week. So thank you all. At UUFLB, we are a welcoming congregation with a commitment to work together, to make a difference, and to actively dismantle oppression and systemic racism in all of its forms. So whoever you are, whomever you love, no matter your age or your gender, your ancestral or ethnic background, your life experiences, and really whatever it is that's brought you here this morning, and whatever sincere questions you bring with you today, we welcome you to our community of mutual caring and serious intent to grow as spiritual and ethical beings, and serious intent to make a difference in our world. Unitarian Universalists subscribe to no single religious creed, but have gathered a set of principles that guide us as we build a religious community together. And the principles that Unitarian Universalist congregations affirm and promote are now on the screen. And for those in the building, they're probably far too small to read, but they're also on the back of your order of service, which you can pick up in the back of the sanctuary if you haven't done so already. And I think for our service today, the fourth principle is the one that really speaks to me. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. One of the joys of UUFLB is the opportunity to get to know the many amazing people who do join together to create this community. And this morning, we are delighted to welcome as our guest speaker, Mike Radcliffe, a member of our congregation who has contributed in countless ways to UUFLB. And Mike will be guiding us today on a journey to explore the role and the impact of technology throughout human history, from the ancient discovery of fire to the complexities of the modern era. How do technological advancements shape our lives? Is it all good? What lies in the future? And how can we be part of making a difference, of making changes for good? I hope you enjoyed the opening video this morning. This week, one day while I was driving home, listening to National Public Radio, they were playing the music we heard this morning, which was the 2024 winner of the Tiny Desk Concert contest, which I had never heard of before. But apparently each year, anyone is invited to put together a music video, and send it in as part of this contest. And this year there were thousands of submissions. And the winner was the video we watched this morning. It's called What's It All Mean? And it's by a musician who's based up in the Bay Area, the Philharmonic. And I really enjoyed the message. And the funny thing is, I didn't know I was going to be the worship associate today. That was sort of a last-minute change. And when I listened to this music on Wednesday night, I thought, boy, if I was the worship associate, I'd pick that as our music for Sunday morning. And of course, it turned out that I am the worship associate today, so I had a chance to share it with you. And it's worth looking up and listening to again, and looking up the lyrics. Part of the lyrics that I really appreciated and I think relate to our service today, they sing, even though on this journey we might fall on the way, now if you fall 7 times, make sure you get back up 8. So again, I hope you enjoyed that music this morning. Also in preparation for this service, I was reading an essay by the Reverend William Sinkford, who I think many of you are familiar with, both from his writings and from preaching or from attending General Assembly. And the essay was entitled On Predicting the Future. And I was struck by one of his quotes in this essay. Our faith's hope is to be found in living as if our deepest yearnings could be fulfilled. And in the essay, Reverend Sinkford also refers to the writings of Octavia Butler, who is an award-winning science fiction writer, and on my list of writers that I want to explore more. And our centering thought for today is from her essay, A Few Rules for Predicting the Future. And I think Dawn is going to bring up a slide which includes the centering thought. And I realize for some of you, certainly I can't read it on the screen in the back, but I will read it for all of us to share. Most of all, our tomorrow is the child of our today. Through thought and deed, we exert a great deal of influence over this child, even though we can't control it absolutely. Best to think about it, though. Best to try to shape it into something good. So today we invite you to delve with us into a critical examination of technology's dual-edged influence on society. And we are so grateful to you, Mike, for leading us on this journey today. So now on the slide that Dawn will put up for us is information about the next few upcoming services here at UUFLB. Next Sunday, we are excited that Reverend Stephanie Etzbach-Dale will be joining us. And Reverend Stephanie has served in the past as one of the ministers of this fellowship. She's prepared for us a service that's entitled The Months Ahead. And Reverend Stephanie is really going to work with us on looking ahead to all of the things that are coming up for us in 2024, which I think are both hold possibility and challenge and concern for many of us. And so she will be talking with us about accessing hope and courage so that we can stay engaged as we face all that is ahead of us in 2024. So I think that's going to be a really special service. The following Sunday, Reverend Celia Young will be returning to lead our service. And then the following Sunday, Greg Klein, which many of you may remember from the last time that Greg was here to lead a service with us. So I hope you're able to attend for these services, either in person or by Zoom. And I hope that everyone is able to stay after the service today, both to enjoy some coffee and conversation. And we'll also be holding, after the service today, a potluck lunch. Am I correct about that? No potluck lunch. Okay, fair enough. That was in the announcement, and I thought, wow, we're holding a potluck lunch. So after the service today, one of the things that you can do as you talk with us is learn more about effort that this congregation has been engaging in, which is a group letter writing project. So members of this congregation have been working to send letters to individuals who have been incarcerated for nonviolent drug offenses, some of them for very long times that seem disproportionate to what their nonviolent offenses were. We've had speakers over the last several months ago, who've spoken with us about this group. And those who've been writing these letters have already been hearing back from some of these individuals who've received our letters and heard how big a difference it's making to them to hear from members of this congregation. So I know Rachel in particular will be able to share information if you wish to learn more about the group letter writing project. Other announcements, if we can put up the announcement slide. This week on Tuesday, we will be having a worship committee meeting by Zoom on Tuesday evening. If you're interested in joining, let me know or let Rachel know. Also, every week on Mondays at noon, we have the Zoom at Noon discussion group, which Paul Bogdan hosts, and a group of people help to lead with some really, I think, each week intriguing discussion topics that are circulated by email ahead of time. I'm never able to attend, but I actually really appreciate thinking about the discussion topics that get sent out. So thank you to Paul and others for leading that group. Also, just a reminder that our pledge drive is currently ongoing, so you can speak with Tom or members of our board about participating in the pledge drive. And then the last announcement I have is about an important upcoming event this Thursday evening at Tapestry, which is the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Lake Forest. And Tapestry, together with Clue, is hosting an event by Zoom on Thursday evening that is a faith-rooted conversation on the work of the California Reparations Task Force. And this meeting is an opportunity to learn more about the bills of reparative legislation, which are winding their way through the legislative committees in Sacramento. And with community support, these measures really do have a possibility to become law. So you're encouraged to attend that session on Thursday night if you can by Zoom. And I heard this week from Adam Overton of Clue, again, who many of you know. Adam has been here to speak before. And Adam is really hoping that anyone who's intending to join by Zoom on Thursday, go ahead and register ahead of time so that they have a good accounting and expectation of who's going to be attending that event on Thursday evening. There are also some flyers in the back about the event. That's Thursday evening. So pick one of those up if you want to learn more. And throughout the service this morning, if you are here with us in the building, I invite you to come forward if you wish and light a candle here in the sanctuary in recognition of whatever it is that you're carrying in your heart as you join us for worship today. It is such a joy for us to have guests on Sunday mornings. So if you are here for the first or second time, we'd love to have the chance to get to know you. If you are comfortable doing so, we'd ask you to share with us your name, where you are from, and what brings you to visit our church today. So I'm first going to ask whether there are any guests visiting by Zoom who would like to introduce themselves this morning. Okay, it sounds like we don't have any guests amongst those who've joined us by Zoom. Is there anyone here in the building who would like to stand and share with us your name, where you're from, and what brought you to visit our church today? Well, what we'll do now then is take just a moment to turn to our neighbors, to give a quick greeting, and to offer a personal welcome to old and to new friends. Well, thank you all. Thank you all very much for joining us here at UUFLB this morning. And I hope you have a few minutes to stay and enjoy more conversation and coffee and maybe some treats after the service today. But now I would like to invite you to please stand as you are comfortable in body, mind, or spirit, and join in singing our opening hymn. And this is one of our favorite hymns, I think, here at UUFLB, and definitely a wonderful hymn to have chosen for this service today. Number 1064, Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the road, ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all life now, never harbor, no port have I known. Wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep. I've been sailing here, companion, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in a beautiful blue Give thanks to the waves upholding me. Hail the great winds urging me on. Greet the infinite sea before me. Sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor, no port have I known. Wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. My apologies, my voice is still not back quite yet. So turn the mic up for next time.
The music is beautiful, though. Thank you all for joining. And let us take a moment now to remind ourselves why we come together as a community. I invite you to read the words of the unison affirmation together when and if it feels right for you. And if you have joined by Zoom, you may want to unmute your microphone so that your voice can be joined together with the voices here in the fellowship building. And there are 2 slides for the unison affirmation that we're using today. So please join me together in reading. May we
be reminded here
of our
highest
highest
aspirations
aspirations
and
and
inspired to
our
bring our
gifts
gifts
of
of
love and
love and
service
service
to the
to the
altar of
altar of
humanity.
humanity.
may we know
May we know
Once again,
that
that we
that
are
we are
not
not
isolated
isolated
beings,
beings,
but connected in
connected in
mystery and
mystery and
miracle
miracle
to the
to the
universe,
universe,
this
to this
community,
community,
and to
and
each
and to
other.
each other.
other. We have come to a time in our service to briefly share the important events that have touched our lives in the past week. It really is a blessing to be part of sustaining a community where we can share our sorrows and provide for each other the support and care that are essential for all of us, and also where we can share our joys so that they can be amplified and that they can extend beyond ourselves into community. So during this time of sharing our joys and concerns, we will pause the recording of the service as we know that it is as much a blessing to be able to give as it is to receive. And this is a self-governing and a self-sustaining community. And because of that, we recognize that it is the responsibility of all of us, both to give and to receive and to do both well. Because the fellowship depends on the love and the generous contributions from our members. And we're empowered by these innumerable gifts: time, compassion, humor, care, financial contribution, and all of these gifts are needed for the fellowship and for its continued good work in the world. So during this time of offering, we'll be passing a basket here within the fellowship. And for those of you who have joined by home, the information on your screen provides additional ways in which you may give. Please join us now. Stand as you are comfortable as we sing to each other words of sincere gratitude. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
Now, I would like to invite you into a brief time of meditation. So please find a way to feel comfortable within your seat. If you wish, you may decide to place your feet on the ground so that you feel grounded to the earth beneath you. Maybe let your hands rest quietly in your lap. Allow the muscles of your neck and your back to relax as you breathe in and breathe out. You can feel the muscles of your face soften as you breathe in and breathe out. I will share with you words from Reverend Forrest Church, followed by a brief time of silence. Each of us, of course, must assume the responsibility for awakening. Others may be responsible for our being born, but what we make of our lives, how deeply and intensively we live, is our responsibility and ours alone. Having accepted life as a gift for ourselves, we are then charged to revere the presence of this same gift in others.
Good morning. I was thinking, I've been on this earth for 70 years, probably remember the last 65, and just in that amount of time, a lot of things have happened. I remember when you could actually dial long distance and with the rotary dial. And that's what inspired me. What happened before and what will happen after my 70 years? Originally, I was going to start with fire, as Pam had mentioned, but I got to thinking last night that we should go back even further than that. Perhaps tools. Some of the later primates and the early humans actually started using tools, and they're using sticks to kill animals to eat and knock fruit out of trees, things of that nature. And then they found they could sharpen the sticks and use it as a spear. And then somebody decided, I don't like my neighbor, and they used these tools, now became weapons. And a lot of things have started off good and turned bad. That's just the first example. The clubs, the bows and arrows and so forth, all came along and became bad things. Fire, on the other hand, started off good. Humans found fire either from like lightning or perhaps volcanoes or something, but they couldn't produce it. They had to keep it and hold on to it and make sure it didn't go out. And that revolutionized life. People stayed warm at night. They had light at night. They cooked their food. They could go into the cave and do their little cave paintings because now they could see in the darkness. And then somebody said, I don't like my neighbor. And they burned down his hut or his or her crop and sent them away. And again, something good turned into something bad. And this has gone on through history with pretty much everything. The Chinese discovered gunpowder, and they made all these great fireworks that we still enjoy today. And then somebody from the Western world figured out how to make a weapon out of gunpowder, which is the basics for fireworks. And the Chinese actually got offended that the Western world was actually taking their technologies. So they closed their doors and isolated themselves for many years until they found out they were falling behind in technology and the Western world had passed them. And that stunted the growth of China back a few hundred years ago. And today we have guns and cannons and everything else, all based on this beginning of fireworks. So again, something beautiful in the sky turned into something to kill or injure other people. Somewheres back in history, somebody invented the wheel, and that was a great thing. They could move heavy loads along the ground, and somebody decided to put an animal in front of a wagon, a horse, an oxen or something, and that was a great improvement. The uses then became more, dark. Somebody decided, I'm going to put a horse in front of a wagon and I'm going to be riding through with my sword, and that was the chariot. And then they started using horses and the wheel to drag catapults. We're going to knock down that castle, or we're going to starve them out, whatever. And they've been using wheels to drag all kinds of military equipment around for centuries now. And then the wheel and fire and other things were put together, and somebody invented the steam engine and the train. And now that was something. We could travel across the country in no time compared to walking with a horse. In fact, steam trains are probably close to half the speed of our vehicles today. Well, not in California, about a quarter of the speed of the cars in California. But that was a big improvement. They could get from east to west, west to east, in just a few days instead of on horseback with wagons and taking months and being stuck in the Rockies in the winter and so forth. So all those things have really come along. Then they came out with internal combustion engines. Oh, big improvement. That all happened near the beginning of the last century. They had gasoline-powered cars. Airplanes followed not too long after that. And petroleum was the thing. It enabled us to do many, many things. And now we're up to the point where since I was a little child, they kept saying, oh, we're running out of oil, we're running out of oil. Well, we still got it, but we're going to switch over to electric. Somebody's going to say we're running out of lithium to make the batteries, but, for the electric cars. Well, will that happen? I don't know. I'm looking back at petroleum. It didn't happen there. So that's the future is here for that. And then we'll go back to agriculture. Originally, we were hunter-gatherers, and somebody decided they could figure out how to grow food, and they didn't have to go search for fruits, vegetables, and meat, and so forth. That helped society do more interesting things. They were allowed to think and plan out things and not have to worry about going after their food and so forth. So that was an improvement. And now, what do we got, 6 billion people in the world? How much longer can we support feeding that many? Are we going to have to resort to genetically modified food to improve crops, et cetera, to feed these people? I hope not, but, time will tell. We have to feed the billions of the masses, so we'll see what happens. And then medicine. Oh, geez. Medicine was kind of like witchcraft for hundreds or thousands of years. And somewhere around the Civil War, they started figuring out things. They had battles that they had to help heal the soldiers and so forth. And one doctor realized that the injured soldiers seemed to die in hot weather more than in cold weather. And he decided he would try something that would cool down the area where the soldiers were recovering. And he actually invented air conditioning during the Civil War. The principle basically is still the same today, only instead of a donkey compressing gases, we have electric motors and such. It's basically the same thing. And then we had communication. We started off with beating on a drum to send a message across the fields and the mountains and so forth. And then somebody invented the telegraph, wires and do-do-do-do-do, and you get the message across. And Alexander Graham Bell came along and thought, geez, it would be better to send a voice than just these little dots and dashes. And he was able to figure out how to do that. And he invented the first telephone. But more importantly, what was more important than the first telephone? The second telephone. You needed somebody to talk to. And it's gone on from there to transatlantic cables to connect telephones to Europe. And then Marconi came around. All this, again, happened around the beginning of the last century. Marconi figured a way to send it without wires, and then to send voice without wires and so forth. And that was the beginning of radio and television. And now we have cell phones all working on that same basic principle. Is this all good? It seems to, because people can give their children phones and stay in contact with them. Of course, then you got people that get online and all these chat groups and pretend to be children when they're, some kind of predator or something, so maybe not everything is great with that. And now you got people driving down the road, bang, and they've enacted laws and so forth. So it could be a double-edged sword on that. Yeah, it's great to have a phone, but you don't want to kill anybody. And all these things started off good, and many of them turned out bad. There is something that started out bad and turned good. Nuclear. Originally, it was used to destroy 2 cities, end the war. Not a good thing. It started as a weapon. But then it became more beneficial. Nuclear power, somewhat beneficial. People are on the fence about whether it was good or bad. But nuclear medicine for diagnostics, radiation treatments for cancer, and all of these things all started with nuclear power in mind. So a lot of things, pros and cons. I think we're slowly getting better and better. I would think that in the future, we will be leaving our blue boat and going into space. Will it be tomorrow? No. Next year? No. Maybe hundreds of years from now. Elon Musk is prepared to send 1 million people to Mars at like $10,000 a pound. It's going to be very expensive. But that's the thing. I believe we will be in space. Maybe we'll have a warp drive and say, beam me up, Scotty, and all that sort of thing. Who knows? It may happen, it may not. It may be impossible. It depends on who you talk to and what you believe in. But I'm looking forward to the rest of my life. Not sure how long it will be, but I want to see as much happen in the future as I've seen happen in my past. So that's really it. I'm not really accustomed to speaking. I only have 8 words on this page, so I just kind of made it all up. Does anybody have a point to make, or want to add, or criticize me or anything?
I have a question.
Yes.
Well, I just want to know what your opinion is of AI.
AI, I don't think we have to worry about them coming and knocking down the door and killing us. That isn't going to happen. But they are impersonating humans in many ways. They send out pictures and voices to make you think your second cousin is in need of money, things of that nature. That does happen, yes. And that will get even more prevalent as time goes on. The world is filled with good people and bad people. Everything is going to be used for good or bad, including AI. Anybody else? Or did that answer your question, first of all?
Yes. I mean, I'm concerned about it quite a bit going forward, and its ultimate control.
I was at the Sphere a few weeks back, and I got to meet their AI robot, and all it is, Alexa, hey Alexa, it's Alexa with some arms and a face that moves around. It's a little more sophisticated than that, but just answers questions, it recognizes your voice and so forth. So, anything else? Well, at least nobody threw any tomatoes at me.
Thank you, Mike. I think you should speak more often. You're a wonderful speaker, and I think you've given us some really good food for thought. Before the service started today, I was talking with one of our members. I was talking with Ross, and I misquoted the title of today's service. I said that it was going to be on technology. Is it good or is it bad? Which isn't the title, but kind of captures it. And Ross's answer to that question, technology, is it good or is it bad? His answer was yes. And I think he's exactly right. And of course, that's what you've captured here for us today. Just like in each individual, no one of us is entirely good. No one individual is entirely bad. We all have an inherent worth and dignity. And I think one of the things that you make me think about is how a place like this fellowship gives us an opportunity to come together and engage in that search from our past, from our present, from thinking about our future, that search to try to find truth and meaning, and to be able to find a place of peace and to make a difference. And so, thank you again, Mike, for speaking with us today. I think you've probably given, again, people things to think about, and I think people may engage you after the service with some of the questions they have. But now I'd like to invite you all to please stand as you are comfortable, in body, mind, or spirit, and we will join in singing our closing hymn, number 1054. I think a fitting end to this service, a hymn we haven't sung for a while, though. Let this be a house of peace.
Let this be a house of peace, of nature, humanity, of sorrow and elation. Let this be our house, haven for the needy, an open room for questions from our inspiration. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of freedom, guardian of dignity, will heal deep inside. Let this be our house, a platform for the freedom voice, where all our sacred visions there shall not divide us. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this little house seek truth. Scientists and mystics, bright in reverie. Let this be our house, a house of creation, where works of art and melodies consecrate the atmosphere. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of prophecy. May vision for our children be our common theme. Let this be our house, a myth and lore and legend, our works of ancient story and cradle of our tender dreams. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace.
Now is the time for us to extinguish the chalice here at UUFLB and within our homes with words of Reverend Maddie Cervantes. We extinguish the flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. So now please join in our closing song, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth. Begin with me. There be peace on earth. Peace. As our mother, we are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin